Aren't you even going to say hello?
You killed Captain Clown. You killed Captain Clown!
In our first episode of this series, we covered the godfather of Joker actors, Mark Hamill, and his various voice acting portrayals of the character, the Joker. While the Joker has a long and storied history in animation, the Clown Prince of Crime has a smaller but growing history in live action. Several prominent actors have played the role in feature films and on the small screen, and some of those performances have actually gone on to influence the character in other medium, with two notable exceptions which we will touch on later. I'm Nemesis, and sidle up and enjoy this look at the Joker in live action. While there were Batman serials well before the Batman 66 TV series, I could not find a record or media where the Joker was portrayed. That would mean that Cesar Romero, most famous for his various Latin lover roles, has the honor of donning the white makeup and green hair first. Famously, the intensely proud Romero refused to shave his trademark mustache, a talisman in his various romantic roles, and you can see the infamous lip caterpillar throughout the series and in Batman the movie. Although Batman the movie was basically a glorified TV episode, Romero's appearance in that film means that he was also the first to portray Joker in a movie. Those two facts make Romero a true trailblazer for the character.
And now, people of Gotham City.
Romero's Joker reflected the Joker that had been present in comics until he virtually disappeared when Julius Schwartz began editing the Batman title. The Joker was an elaborate prankster at that time, endlessly trying to commit comedy-themed crimes while foiling that killjoy Batman. With that in mind, Batman 66 was probably the most comic-accurate TV series to the comics of the time, replete with sound effect bubbles. As hard as it may be to believe, there were no live-action depictions of the Joker or Batman himself until Jack Nicholson would take up the role for Tim Burton's Batman in 1989. Every bit the accomplished actor that Cesar Romero was, Romero would die in 1994. Nicholson's depiction would be very faithful to the print version of the character. Nicholson brought his understated menace to the role and, as could be expected watching his performance in movies such as One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, was able to bring a mix of danger, barely controlled insanity, and humor to the role.
You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? What? I always ask that of all my prey. I just like the sound of it.
What are you laughing at?
Joker had changed quite a bit in tone, if not presentation, since the 60s. 1988 had seen the death of Jason Todd's Robin by Joker in A Death in the Family, and Nicholson's Joker would bring those homicidal tendencies to the silver screen. However, Burton and company would make some design changes to the character and Gotham itself, and those design changes would be reflected in Batman the Animated Series, which drew heavily on its artistic influence. Meanwhile, in the comics, the character would continue to evolve and get darker. The success of Tim Burton's Batman and Batman Returns set the table for a further 2 films and propelled the character of Batman into the national spotlight. Not surprisingly, this led to a number of advertising opportunities for the character. One of those opportunities was a series of commercials for OnStar, one of which featured the Joker. Curtis Armstrong, who is most famous for his recurring role on the 80s TV series Moonlighting, as well as his role as Booger in the various Revenge of the Nerds movies, played the Joker in this commercial, his one and only appearance as the character.
This is how you exterminate a bat!
Batman, this is Karen Boyd from OnStar. I got a signal your airbag went off. Should I send for an ambulance?
Everything's fine. Send the police to 4th and Main.
I'll contact them right away.
He'll never learn.
Also, at this time, the Joker made a cameo appearance in the short-lived Birds of Prey TV series. Interestingly, although stuntman Roger Stoneburner physically portrayed the role, the voice of Joker was provided by Mark Hamill, yet another voice acting credit that is often overlooked.
Knock, knock. Who's there? Batgirl. Past tense.
Big screen portrayals of the Joker would go on the shelf for another 6 years, until the release of Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. In this movie, the late Heath Ledger would turn in one of his penultimate performances as the Joker. His Joker, while able to appreciate a joke, was much more a darkly ironic commentator who punctuated his points with violence wrapped in insanity. This Joker was not about gags, but about watching the world burn, as Alfred Pennyworth would note in the film.
I believe whatever doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger.
So which of you fine gentlemen would like to join our team? Oh, there's only one spot open right now, so we're gonna have tryouts.
What is most interesting is that this interpretation of the Joker, for the first time, influenced the comics heavily. The Joker had already moved towards the nihilism which was portrayed in The Dark Knight, but the movie exacerbated that move. However, the look and mannerisms of the Joker changed to more closely align with Ledger's depiction in the comics, most famously in the book The Joker by Brian Azzarello. Two different interpretations of the character then hit the different mediums at roughly the same time. On the small screen, Cameron Monaghan brought the character of Jerome to life on Fox's Gotham. The Joker in all but name, Monaghan's version of the character was interesting, nuanced, and ultimately moved very closely toward the comic source material. The character had an extensive backstory in the TV series, a departure from the comics, but as he spiraled downward and began to move into Joker territory, began to take on traits and the appearance of Joker from the New 52 incarnation of the character.
My mother was a cold-hearted whore who never loved anyone, and she'd never touch a pathetic old creep like you.
You still together, or?
No.
No. No. That's a shame. I really liked you guys. Hey, what happened?
He killed my husband on our wedding night. Glad you find it funny.
I do. I get why you don't. Wow, you miss a lot being dead.
No,
At roughly the same time, Jared Leto debuted as Joker in The Suicide Squad. Originally slated to appear in Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, Leto and David Ayer's interpretation of the character was a marked departure from anything that had been seen before. While Joker had traditionally been associated with the traditional gangster, especially with Batman the Animated Series and Tim Burton's Batman laying the groundwork for this Joker was more gangbanger than gangster. Heavily tattooed and blinged out, this Joker would have been more at home in the gangs of LA than in the Cosa Nostra of New York. Most fans of the character were put off by this new interpretation because of such a departure in tone and visuals, especially from what was in the comics at the time.
What do we have here?
I did everything you said. I helped you.
You helped me by erasing my mind what hated memories I had.
As you all know, we are tracing the history of Joker in visual media in anticipation of the release of Todd Phillips' The Joker in October. We will be watching Joaquin Phoenix's take on that character closely. It appears that this version of the Joker, while a departure backstory-wise, is very close and tender in tone to other versions of the character and seems to have gone down well so far. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it as we lead up to the release of the Joker. I'm Nemesis, and I hope all of you have a great day. Thank you. We hope you've enjoyed this Comic Crusaders production. For real-time news on all things pop culture, please feel free to follow us on social media. For articles, original content, merchandise, and more, please go to www.comiccrusaders.com. Also follow along with all of the websites of the Comic Crusaders family. As always, if you like this content, please click like and subscribe to the Comic Crusaders YouTube channel.